What's up, Eagles Nation? Yeah, I know. Ugly, ugly, ugly one today against the Giants. 14-7 or 13-7 loss. Uh, Apologies, I haven't been keeping up with the Season of the Fans series over the last few weeks. Just been super busy with a lot of stuff going on. I know Slim was over a few weeks ago, and obviously with the holiday coming up, Thanksgiving, everything just kind of threw everything a little out of whack. But obviously, listen, this was, I don't want to say unexpected. I had a bad feeling about this game. I really did. It just seems to me that every time, being an Eagles fan as long as I've been, it's like every time things look a little too good, like like they shouldn't have a problem in this game to win. You know, they have a problem and they lose the game. It is. I think the only season where everything just, we didn't have this, where things just worked, was 2017 when they won the Super Bowl. Like every other year, they're like games that they have no business probably losing, and they find a way to just come up flat, lose. And I do want to remind the fans of this town, can we stop with this easy schedule? Can we stop with all this? Oh, well, they look at the strength of schedule. Oh, this is a cupcake walk. It's a Philadelphia team. Okay, have we not learned by now? I mean, look at the Phillies last season. That all these home games, you're playing all these bad teams, the Baltimores, the Arizonas, the Colorado. What happened? Pittsburgh. All these, it's just set up for them to make the playoffs. What happened, right? You lose to the Rockies, who couldn't beat anybody on the road, and they found a way to take, I think, 3 or 4 in that series here. You get swept in Arizona. You lose games to Pittsburgh, and there is no such thing in Philly as an easy, soft schedule the rest of the way, because these teams just trip over themselves. They find ways to lose games that they shouldn't lose that end up costing them in the end. That's what happens. So enough of the easy schedule, the strength of schedule. Oh, this is going to be easy. We're playing this team. They're not playing for anything. Who cares? Blah, blah, blah. Because it's like that's when our teams just play down to the competition all the time. They do it all the time besides 2017. That's the only time that I can remember a Philadelphia team just rolling over teams that they should be rolling over. That there are teams that this team comes in with 3 wins, we should handle business. And they did. And they took care of those teams, and they won by double digits just about every week. I don't know. People just haven't learned. I know. Listen, they won a couple games. They won in Denver, which was a great. Hey, look, it was a very solid win out there. Then they win against the Saints, another solid win. I know the Saints had some, shorthanded and whatnot on offense, but whatever. It was still a good win. First home win in quite a while, which was good as well. And, of course, now we're coming into this week. It's Thanksgiving week. Dallas loses on Thanksgiving. We're all happy about that. And then the Eagles are playing a game where, look, it's a division game on the road. They're never cakewalks. Never cakewalks, all right? And, the Giants are horrible. Oh, they're in flux. This should be a win. And it should have been a win. Even with turning the ball over, 4 times, plus the turnover on downs, and the last play, it was there. It was there to be won, which shows you how bad the Giants are. But it was there to be won. And stop me if you've heard this before. At the end of a game, the last play of a game, when you need an Eagles receiver, a draft pick by the Eagles at wide receiver position in recent years, to make a big catch, he drops the ball. Nelson Agholor, who did have a good year in 2017 and led the team in yards, receiving yards in Super Bowl 52. I don't know how. It just kind of showed how great that season was. But Nelson Agholor against the Patriots dropped the ball, right? You had J.J. Arcega-Whiteside against the Lions, dropped the ball. Now you have Jalen Reagor against the Giants, a catchable pass, drops the ball. And it's a theme. It's a theme. And I look at this game, and I know they didn't have Jordan Howard, and it hurt them not having Jordan Howard. For whatever reason, it's like their most talented running back, Miles Sanders, they just have no confidence in the guy. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just, you know, he gets hurt. He's just, I don't know. I know he fumbled the ball a couple times last week, and that was a bit maddening. There's something there, you know, and I'm not in the locker room. I'm not a reporter for the team. I don't have inside access, right? Besides what I see week to week, there's something there. You know, there really is something there. And, you know, Jordan Howard, maybe they're just more comfortable. I mean, Howard and Boston Scott are two backs that just go forward. They don't really do anything fancy. They're not shifty. They don't really, but they just go forward and they get yards. And maybe they just have complete confidence in those guys. And when you didn't have one of them, it's funny to me that you didn't have Jordan Howard today. And basically, the thing that this team was so successful with over the last few games, which were both wins, was they ran the ball with a lot of success. And then today, when you didn't have one of your backs in there, they just, you know, decided that we're gonna showcase Jalen Hurts' arm. I don't know why. It didn't make any sense to me watching this game. I don't think the Giants were doing anything incredible to stop the run because the Eagles were able to run the ball on them. I mean, Hurts had some nice runs against them. Sanders broke off, a 20-plus yard run. Boston Scott scored again against the Giants. Well, I tell you, if you're in fantasy football and Boston Scott's out there, when the Eagles play the Giants, pick him up. As he's probably going to score against them. 7 career touchdowns against the Giants. It's unbelievable. You can just pen him in for a touchdown, at least one touchdown every time the Eagles play the Giants, and he's probably going to get a touchdown, right? But you know, I just, it's not just that they were passing the ball. Jalen Reagor had the most targets. Why? Why are we targeting? Jalen Reagor has been nothing but a disappointment ever since they drafted him. Yet another failure on Howie Roseman in drafting, right? Not drafting well at the skill position. Now, Devontae Smith, I think was a good pick, and I think over time you're going to see it will be even more of a better pick, right? So I still have faith in Devontae Smith. I don't understand why they weren't throwing him the ball much today. He was open, even on the last play where they tried to get to Stonehands. You know, that's why Devontae was so upset. He threw his helmet and everything. He was open. I know it's the last play. You know, it is what it is. But why are we not getting our number one receiver more involved? I don't think the Giants had this great defensive, you know, stop ability. They're just not a very good defense. They're not. They're in the 20s when it comes to stopping the run and pass. But for whatever reason, we're going to have Jalen Reagor Day. Because that's what we need to do. I don't get it. And I said this before, and listen, Jalen Hurts is a rootable guy. He's a guy, he's a great guy. He just is. He's a gem of a guy. He's not a starting quarterback. I gotta be careful, okay? Because I like him. I like him as a person. I think he's a rootable guy. I don't see it. He's an athletic quarterback. He makes plays with his feet. He does. And he has made some incredible plays. That move that he made on that Saints defender last week and just made him look silly, I mean, that's going to be highlights for years to come. He has great athletic talent. He doesn't have a great arm. He just doesn't. There's a difference, and people were talking about Lamar Jackson and Russell Wilson and Murray. All those quarterbacks have a very good arm. They're not just gifted at running. They can pass the ball. They can flick that ball. And I mean, Mike Vick used to do it. You used to see it all the time. He was here, you know, at the end of his career, but he was doing it in Atlanta too. Boy, he had a gun. I mean, all these quarterbacks that were running, that are scrambling type quarterbacks, they can throw the ball. And some of them have that baseball background, right? Patrick Mahomes is another one. Baseball background, Murray, Wilson. Boy, they can throw. And then you see Jalen Hurts, and God bless him, but you see Jalen Hurts, and it's just, you see the difference. You see, now listen, Rager's got to come down with that ball on that last play. Now, the play before where the ball bounced off his helmet, listen, he still should have tried to make a little better play on the ball, right? Rager. But certainly that last play where he kind of laid the ball at the end. I mean, you're a receiver in the NFL. Make a freaking play. Make a freaking play. I mean, it's embarrassing. But there again, you go to the problems of the past. Now listen, this is a very big offseason coming up for the Eagles, regardless of how the rest of this season goes. Okay? I don't think they're going to be a playoff team. There might still be hope. More than likely, I never say never, but more than likely they're going to beat the Jets next week to go to 6-7, and they'll still be in the hunt for that last wild card spot. Then they have a bye week, and then you have the football team coming in and whatever. So there's still going to be optimism for that, okay? But regardless of how this season ends, it's a huge offseason. You're going to have 3 first-round picks. Now, those picks aren't going to be as good now as they looked a couple weeks ago after the Eagles lost. The Dolphins were looking like just a dumpster fire. They were losing. Now, of course, they rattle off some wins. The Eagles got a few wins, and they got the Colts pick, more than likely. I think they're like a couple games away from Carson Wentz starts away from them getting their first-round pick, right? So that's good. 3 first-round picks. Now, they're going to be probably mid in the first-round picks, and that's okay. It's still 3 first-round picks, and you could still do a lot there, and you could still correct some of the issues that you have, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Linebacker, safety, you can get some players there. But there again, we have to put our hope and faith in Howie and the scouting to get this done. I want to believe. Now, listen, I'm not saying every single pick the man makes is just garbage, because there's been some players that they picked and they've produced and helped this team, right? To the extent that they got some extensions here, all right? It hasn't been all terrible, all right? Terrible, as Barkley would say, right? But there has been a lot of misses, particularly at the skill position, right? We know this. If they would have drafted DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson instead of Arcega-Whiteside and Jalen Reagor, how much better would things look right now, right? Even if they got one of them. If they get one of those two. Now, do I think that DK Metcalf and Justin Jefferson are doing the things on the Eagles as they're doing on the teams that there are? Probably not exactly. They're good, but are they at those level good? Maybe not. I don't know. Quarterback play here, I don't know. Maybe it's not as spectacular, but there's still an upgrade over J-Jaw, and it's certainly over Reagor. I don't know. Some receiver off the street might be an upgrade over Jalen Reagor at this point. I don't really know, right? But certainly it would have been an upgrade. Listen, the Vikings war room were doing cartwheels as soon as the Eagles didn't get Jefferson. And we were all screaming, get Jefferson. I mean, the guy balled out in the toughest conference with the toughest defenses against him in the playoffs, in the national championship game for LSU. He balled out. And you're not going to draft that. You're going to go Reagor out of TCU. Yeah. That's good thinking there, Howie. That really worked. I don't know. Listen, I don't want to be one. Look, I don't want to say, you can't. You just have to go power conference all the time. It helps to get those blue chippers. It does. But there have been plenty of players over the years that have had success coming in non-powerhouse divisions in schools and college, and they still have a lot of success. So, you can find success in those areas too. But, I mean, Jefferson was the pick. DK Metcalf. And a lot of teams passed on Metcalf. It wasn't just the Eagles. We live in a bubble. So it's like whenever the Eagles or the Sixers or the Flyers or the Phillies or they don't draft this guy, it's like, all we had to do was, there's other teams that don't draft them either. We it magnifies when you see the players, though, that they did draft that don't have any success, and you're seeing Metcalf and Jefferson and Pro Bowls and having success and just setting record, Jefferson saying a rookie record or whatever last season. Just, and we got J. Jaw and Rager. Okay. You listen, but again, if you draft one of those two instead of J. Jaw and Rager, maybe you don't draft Smith. Maybe then you go after Parsons instead. And you finally get an impactful linebacker on this team. A linebacker or edge rusher. Either way, it's fine because we need that. Right? Now, you can get that this draft, and they're going to have $50+ million under the cap to be able to get some free agents this offseason. Again, it's a huge offseason for them. Regardless of how the rest of the season goes. They can lose out and it will still be a big offseason. They can win out and it will still be a great offseason. A big offseason, I should say, coming up. It's just one of those things. 3 first-round picks and all that cap space. So some of the issues here can be correctable. But there again, then you have to believe in the coaching staff. You have to believe in the players to make the plays. There's a lot of things that go hand in hand here, okay? Now, I know there's going to be a lot of talk going into the offseason about, well, they should parlay these picks and get Russell Wilson or Deshaun Watson. Pump the brakes on that, okay? Pump the brakes. Listen, it's important, and I know we have to believe in Howie. In Howie we trust. To draft well, to actually hit on those draft picks, even 2 of 3 or 1 of 3 on those draft picks, they got to hit. They got to hit. All right? But I'd rather have that chance at doing that than going after, one of those quarterbacks because, I don't know. If you bring Russell Wilson to this situation, does that turn things around like that right away? I don't know. They're still going to have some issues. If you bring Deshaun Watson in, that's a big circus that you're bringing here. And I know many years ago they got Mike Vick here. It was a different situation. They had a lot of leaders in that locker room. You had a veteran head coach and coaching staff that were able to deal with all that came with getting Mike Vick, right? They were able to do it. If there was any franchise who could do it, it was the Eagles, and it worked out, for the Eagles to do that, and for Mike Vick, that he came to this situation. I don't see that here right now. And if you bring Deshaun Watson here, is he an immediate upgrade? Is Russell Wilson an immediate upgrade over Jalen Hurts? Yes, they are. Absolutely. But I still don't know if is this team, that's a move that you make if you're a step away from going to a Super Bowl, competing for a Super Bowl. This team isn't there. They're still steps away. Now, it's a big step. Because you need that starting quarterback, right? That's a big deal, right? Even though the Eagles won their only Super Bowl with a backup quarterback. But still, it's a big deal, and those teams that have sustained success, they have the franchise quarterback in place, and they're having a lot of success. It just figures that the 1 year the Patriots have a down year, they're able to get another franchise quarterback. There's just some charmed franchises out there. It just seems to... They have one, and they get Mac Jones. Of course they do, because, yeah. But no, I just, listen, I don't know. And it's a very debatable topic. There's a lot of people that are just so pro, let's get Russell Wilson, let's get, Deshaun Watson, let's get Rodgers is a huge pipe dream. There's no way he's coming here. He's going to go to Pittsburgh or the 49ers or one of those ready-made franchises, right? If he leaves Green Bay. He's not going to go to a team that's kind of in a rebuild mode. He's a veteran. He wants to go somewhere where he's guaranteed to have a chance at the Super Bowl next season, and that's not going to be here. As much as an Eagles fan as I would love it to be, I just don't see that happening next season. Now, look, the year they won, going into this season, no one was thinking Super Bowl. It just happened. All the stars finally aligned for us, But going into next season, regardless of how the offseason plays out, they're not, going to make a Super Bowl run next season. They're just not, they're not there. They still have moves to make and pieces to get, and some of these young players have to start producing. And the coaching staff has to be better too. I mean, it all goes hand in hand. And as much as I would love to say, oh yeah, we'll be there next season, oh yeah, let's do it, let's go for it. I just don't know. I don't see it. And that's why the issues that I have with Jalen Hurts, I'd still be okay if he's the guy here next season under center and you go one more season with him. Because here's the thing, I don't believe in any of these quarterbacks coming out this year, and I certainly wouldn't take a first, second, or even third round pick on any of those guys. I mean, if you take a flyer on someone in the fourth round or something like that, okay, but we have a lot more issues that we have to take care of, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. And yes, at some point you're going to have to draft a center. As much as Kelsey's beloved, and listen, he's playing at a high level again this season, and you see the drop-off certainly. Look, they took a touchdown off the board because Herbert gets a big penalty, holding penalty on a touchdown, and negated it. And that was big at that time in the game because they walked away with no points on that drive. You do see the drop-off, and it would be good to have your future center in place. And I know Dickerson can do it. He's more than capable. He was a center in Alabama, I believe. He can play both center and guard. He's done a good job where he is at guard. I mean, if you move him to center, okay, so who's your guard? So there's a Rubik's Cube that they still have to figure out. But it would be nice to either get the center or the guard of the future. And you're probably going to have to use one of those picks this offseason to do that. You do need to get linebackers. And I know, listen, the T.J. Edwards and what have you, they've been okay. They haven't been great. I know Edwards got a 1-year extension. They need better play at the linebacker position. They need better play at the safety position. And these are things that are very important. That look, those are the heartbeats of a defense. And if you don't have that, and listen, how many games have we seen? This has been poor tackling. I think that the corners have been okay. Just not getting enough pass rush has been a problem. They need an edge rusher as well. I know the loss of Brandon Graham has been big, but I mean, you tell me no one else can step up. But it's just week after week, you see the opposing quarterback and their uniforms clean. White uniforms look clean, and it's like, come on, guys, get a little pressure. Let's go. But it's just not consistent enough. So you need to address that. And that's why this offseason is so big with having those picks, because you can address that. Not to say that it's guaranteed that whoever you get is going to pan out, but you have better chance at getting guys that are going to pan out the more picks you have. And you have to address this defense this offseason. Even if most of that cap space is put on defense this offseason, I'd be okay with that because they need to revamp this defense. You got to get some playmakers on that side of the ball. You really do. I know you got Darius Slay's had a great Pro Bowl caliber season so far, but the defensive line has been very inconsistent. Linebackers are what they are. The safeties are what they are. And you need an overhaul, and this would be the offseason to do it because you're going to have all that draft capital, and you're going to have a lot of space under the cap to be able to get some guys. Now, those guys have to fit the system, and, you can't just, play mad scientist. Oh, just because he's good here, we're going to give him all this money, and he's going to come here and be great. You just don't know. I mean, again, everything worked out in 2017. Those guys they brought in, the veterans that they brought in, all came here and all worked. I mean, it was remarkable how well it all went. It was like if you could just have one perfection year, that was it, all across the board, right? But just not enough of it. And I understand in draft, it's very hit or miss. Barnett was a high draft pick, and he's been worse than Mike Mamula. Mike Mamula was always that guy that, came close to getting the sack, but just couldn't quite do it. But he had better years in Philly than Barnett did. So I don't know how he got that record in Tennessee for Reggie White, but Reggie hasn't. And I wasn't trying to compare him to Reggie White coming out here, but I'm like, I mean, you could. I mean, it's just ridiculous, man. It really is. He's been such a letdown, and a lot of those players have been a letdown. But so that's why it's exciting and scary at the same time with all those picks, because it is, you understand who's making those picks, and some of the players that they weren't able to hit on. It's not exact science. And again, we live in this bubble here, and Eagle fans, we see all the mistakes made here. It's across the board. You look at a lot of teams that have unsuccess in those areas too. I mean, some teams, some franchises have just not had any kind of success in forever. I mean, look at the Lions, for God's sakes. Haven't won a playoff game since 1991. I mean, you know, we complain, but I mean, there's always these other franchises. The Jets have been a dumpster fire forever, right? There's franchises just can't get out of their own way. You know, the Browns had a little bit of success last year, but I mean, besides that, have they really done anything since coming back into existence, right? It's hard. And those teams that do it consistently, that are consistently good, you know, you marvel at them because you understand how difficult it is in pro sports to stay on top and to keep having that success and to hit on those drafts every year, no matter where you're drafting, right? High or low, you're still hitting on those picks, and you're keeping that engine moving. You know, it's a hard thing to do. And hey, look, this fan base knows it. You know, from winning a Super Bowl to where we are now, just a few years later, you know, it just shows how difficult it is to do it. So, but they will have their opportunities this offseason if they do it right. And again, I don't know if this is the Russell Wilson, Watson type of territory. I don't know. There are things about Jalen Hurts that I've been impressed with as a starting quarterback, and there's things about Jalen Hurts that I just, it's been underwhelming. You know, the arm has been a problem. Now, the accuracy, reading the field, these are things that you can correct. I mean, there's been a lot of young quarterbacks come in the league, and right away, right off the bat, they're not getting it. I mean, Allen in Buffalo was the same way, but he has a strong arm. You know, that's the difference, right? Some of these other young quarterbacks come in the league, and they're having problems surveying the field. The accuracy just isn't there, but they grow into that position in the NFL, and they get better. But they have the stronger arm, and Jalen just doesn't have that. And some of these passes, when he's trying to throw these deep balls, how many of them are underthrown that get picked off? The one today that got picked off. It's not just the accuracy, it's just not having that strong arm, It's not the end-all, be-all for quarterbacks, but it helps. Particularly with these mobile quarterbacks, because when they run, it pulls the defense to them, and they can fling that ball. You've seen it all the time. Like I said, I mentioned a bunch of the mobile quarterbacks that have done it over the years earlier. We had them in this town. We had Randall. We had Donovan McNabb. Mike Vick. Even Carson, had a strong arm. He was mobile. He wasn't always the most accurate. He would throw but he could really throw that ball. And that's just not something that, Jalen has. And it's a shame because it's like the one thing that's missing, right? It's like if you can just give him Carson's arm strength, it would be there. He would be there. He could be an elite quarterback in this league. But again, this is where you can mask it. You run the ball. You design better plays, more winnable plays for him. And just understand that the arm strength is going to be there. It's going to be that issue, but you can work around it. Now, can you have sustained success with that? I don't know. In this league, hey, look, defenses adjust. They're going to try to take away the run. Now, defenses really in the NFL aren't really geared to stopping a run because a lot of teams don't really run the ball a ton. There are teams in this league who do. Tennessee, Baltimore, right? Other teams do. And those teams still have success. Team defenses really aren't geared to stop the run as much as they are to stop the pass, right? That's what it's all about, the passing game, right? So you can have some success running the ball. I do believe that you can have success in this league running the ball. You don't have to just throw the ball all over the field. To the point that even last season, Tampa Bay won a Super Bowl, and they had the GOAT as quarterback, but they were running the ball, right? You had Leonard Fournette and company running the ball, including in the Super Bowl, And I know Tom Brady made some plays, but they were running the ball. They became a very physical offense, whereas at the beginning of the season, they really weren't. They were pass. As the season wore on, started running the ball a little more, and that's when their offense really started clicking and having a lot of success. And again, that's a team with Tom Brady at the helm. So You can have success running the ball in this league, and the Eagles certainly can do that. They still have one of the best offensive lines in the game, and they are great at run blocking. That's again why today's game was so maddening, because you're taking away a strength. And I understand you don't have Jordan Howard in there, but you don't go away from it. You still have capable running backs and a great offensive line in front of you. Run the ball. The name of the game for this offense isn't to throw the ball over the field. Run the ball. You have a mobile quarterback. You have running backs who can run. You can get those yards. I don't know. It's old school. It's not sexy. It's not, exciting, but it gets the job done. It got on 2 straight wins, and then today it's like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe without Jordan Howard, they just felt, all right, let's go another direction. I don't know why. Again, it's a young coach and a young coaching staff making mistakes. They didn't challenge the touchdown on the Giants. That was a very challengeable play. Fox didn't give it a lot of great looks, but it looked like the ball was on the ground. It wasn't a clean catch. He was kind of juggling it going down. Temple tough, I know, I get that, but it didn't look clean. I don't know why in the world they didn't challenge that. It's a scoring play. Again, it's a young coaching staff just not being quite there. Not being quite there. I don't think it's been all bad with Sirianni. I think, to his credit, they did adjust. They started running the ball more. Maybe getting Jordan Howard in, helped with that decision. I don't know. It's obvious they don't have any belief in Miles Sanders. I honestly don't know why, but they don't. They have more belief in Howard and Boston Scott. I think they lost belief in Gainwell too. I don't know. It's curious. It's just one of those things. I don't think you'll ever get a straight answer. But seeing a game like this today without Howard, and the fact that they were trying to establish a passing game more so to the point. Listen, it was 3rd and 2. It was 3rd and 2, and if you thought that you were going to go for it on 4th down, why aren't you just handing the ball off on 3rd and 2? Or having, trying to run a Hurts instead of throwing these passes down the middle in traffic? Both 2 straight plays, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2. Again, the strength of this offense is your offensive line run blocking. 3rd and 2. Listen, this game was just one of those games, that you say, look, it was winnable, it was there, but they didn't do enough to win it. And there were plays that they left too many plays on the field. I know in the post-game show on Comcast Sportsnet, Ray Didinger was talking about how they should have just kicked the field goal with 8 seconds to go and tie the game. I don't know. I agree with them running a play there, but it had to be more of a crisp play than that. That was foolish. And again, that's Jalen, not reading the situation. He should have just thrown the ball away instead of trying to force feed the ball for a play that just wasn't there, that was intercepted. And that was a mistake on Jalen. I do believe they should have ran a play there. 8 seconds is still more than enough time to run a quick throw. If it's incomplete, you kick the field goal with maybe like 2-3 seconds left. You still should have enough time to run, barring a sack or something like that, to get the field goal off. But look, hindsight being what it is, maybe they should have kicked the field goal at 3-3 halftime. Okay, readjust. Eagles get the ball to start the second half. The momentum is still there, even though it's a 3-3 game. I get that, but it is what it is. Listen, there were too many mistakes made. Too many mistakes. And the defense, I don't think played hard. Listen, he gave up 13 points. They didn't play horrible, but they did give up some long drives. No turnovers by the Giants. There was almost a turnover, but Maddox didn't possess the ball before going out of bounds. And that's Daniel Jones. And he turns the ball over every week, but against the Eagles, for whatever reason, he seems to play clean game. I don't know. I don't get it. It is what it is. Listen, the Giants, I don't think they had a spectacular game. They just did enough to win, and the Eagles just lost the game. I mean, that's all you can. That's all you can say about this game. Is the Eagles? It was more the Eagles losing it than the Giants winning it. I know the Giants made some plays, But look, I mean, you can see why that team won 3 games coming in. They're not good, and even if they won this game, they're still not good. You know, the Eagles. Hey, look, they're not very good right now either. I think they're still a little. You know, even though they lost today, I think they're still a bit better than the Giants, and we'll see in a few weeks when they play them here. But you know, at the end of the day, you can't turn the ball over like that and hope to win. I don't care if you're playing the Giants, the Jets, the Lions, the Texans. It doesn't matter if you're going to turn the ball over that many times. It hurts. It's too much to overcome, and it was today. And even with that, there was a play to be made at the end of the game that Rager didn't make, and it's maddening. Man, that's a draft pick that didn't work out. Jefferson would have caught the ball. Metcalf would have caught the ball. But Rager, and I don't understand why he's still on return. See, what does he do? Listen, he always lets the ball go over his head. And it gets, like, down inside the 5. This has been going on for the past few years. Not just Rager. Ward was doing it, too. It's like they don't have a guy that just goes for the ball. It's like they're afraid of the ball. No, we can't get it. It's just going to go into the end zone. No. These punters are too good anymore. They or kickers or whatever. They put the ball where they want it so it gets downed. I don't know. Disappointing is what it is. What can you do? They're 5-7. If they do what this franchise has always, they've never lost to the Jets. The Eagles have, in their history, never lost a game to the Jets. We'll see if that continues next week, and then they have a bye week, and then they got more home games than road games the rest of the way. So, we'll see. I think they only have, after the Jet game, they got the game against the football team. That's it on the road. All the other games are at home. Now they finally won a home game last week, so, we'll see if they can build off that going forward. Yeah, it's disappointing, but again, I didn't go into this season really expecting playoffs. I didn't really expect a ton of wins. I just wanted to see improvement as the season progressed. I wanted to see what we have in the quarterback, what we have in the coach. And, at the end of the season, there might still be question marks there. But, we're going to see. Listen, I'm not in the front office. I don't make those decisions. For all I know, they could just flip the switch and trade picks and try to get Wilson or Watson or whatever and start over at quarterback with a more established veteran quarterback. And it's their prerogative to do it if they do it. I would rather go after the picks and get some young talent on defense and, maybe get the replacement for a Kelsey or whoever on that offensive line, because it's still the strength of this team. And you can't, Kelsey retires this offseason. You still need a replacement there, right? And he's been a warrior, and he'll be dearly missed if he does. But, we're going to see. And it's just too an important year for the draft, if you're still in building mode, which this team is, to kind of be putting all your eggs in one basket with Wilson or Watson. And, okay, that's going to be the cure-all, because we don't know. We still don't know enough about the coaching staff to know if it will be or not. So we're going to see. Again, this is a topic for discussion again at the end of the season. But anyhow, that's where we are right now. Tough loss today to the Giants, a team that the Eagles have done pretty good over the years. They've pretty much owned the matchup. I know they lost to them last year at MetLife, and again this year at MetLife. But for the most part, they've come away with W's against the Giants. Hey, there was no miracle in the Meadowlands today. I guess the miracle was the Giants winning the game. I don't know, but because you really did get the feeling. I'm sure there was a lot of Giant fans out there who got the feeling when the Eagles had the ball at the end, like, we've seen this story before. But it wasn't meant to be today. It wasn't meant to be. I guess that Philly firefighter, if he catches babies today, could say, "Oh, we caught them." Unlike Rager. In a few years, unlike Aguilar. They just substitute Aguilar with Rager now. Unlike Rager, stare at the camera. Oh, my goodness. What can you do? But it was a tough one. But, yeah, that's what this season's probably going to be. I expect them to bounce back next week against the Jets, get a win before the bye week, and, we'll see. Playoff-wise, they're still alive, technically. A win next week, they'll still be alive. You go up, again, more home games than not the rest of the way after that, and anything can happen. But again, I don't have great hopes for that, but, hey, if it keeps, some sort of excitement, it is what it is. But this season really is about just seeing what we have and going into this big off season and hopefully adding pieces then via the draft and free agency. And that's what they're going to have to do. This is where Howie has to make that money. Or go back in the closet. if he fails this off season, there's no bringing him back then. Excuse me. I do apologize. There hasn't been a Festive 4 in a few weeks. I'll get back to that next week, too. I'll try to put out a video maybe on Saturday next week for the upcoming game against the Jets. We'll get back to the Festive 4. The one thing you've been consistent in Festive picks, right? Every week's been doing all right. So we'll get back to that next week. And I know, difficult one, man. It's been a tough week. Besides the Union, shout out to the Union, by the way. The Philadelphia Union, for the first time in their history, are going to the MLS Eastern Conference Finals. That's an awesome thing for them. They got a shootout win today. Maybe the Flyers can learn something from them. I don't know. I hate the shootout in hockey. It's because the Flyers suck at it. I know. They've always sucked at the shootout. I hate games coming down. It's a skills competition, and it's like the Flyers have had decent scorers, but they've never had a good shootout goalie. And I know the one year, right, Boucher made the stop against the Rangers, and they go all the way to the Cup Finals that year. What was that? 2010, and they lost to the Blackhawks in the final. I see you, Luca. I know, but they got there. But the shootout has just been. It's like every time they get in the shootout, I'm like, oh, here's a loss. That's the other point for the other team. Here we go. Yeah, there it is. Every time. I can't stand it. I just think they should just go continuous overtime, let someone score, and that's it. No tie. I don't want there to be ties like there used to be many years ago. Just continuous overtime. That's it. Someone score, and there we go. No stupid shootouts. Enough of the shootout. They're going to keep doing it. Enough of the damn shootout. It's skills competition. Enough of that. Just overtime. Thank God there's no shootouts in the playoffs. Oh, my God. Oh, would that be hard? Listen, it's been over 40 years, No one talks about the Flyers drought. It's all the Maple Leafs. I remember years ago, I know I'm getting off on a tangent. I'm sorry, but I know years ago, the Rangers, 50 years, everyone was making such a, and then they won in 94, right? And the Red Wings had that until they beat the Flyers in 97, but they had a drought. Everyone always talked. No one talks about the Flyers drought. 40-plus years. I'm 43. They won the last before I was born. That's a long drought. That's a damn long drought that needs to be talked about more. The Maple Leafs are always good. They have the longest one. I get that. Right? Buffalo and whatever. Come on, man. We can't even get love for losing in this town, I tell you what. Right? Oh, good God. But anyhow, that's it for this week. Week 12, the Eagles go down to the Giants 13-6. Just 13-7. It was such an ugly game, I couldn't even remember the score. 13-7. Just didn't make the big play at the end. But you know what? Turning the ball over the way they did, maybe it was just meant to be that way. We'll see what happens next week. Same building, different team against the Jets. And, we'll see if they can get back in the win column there. I believe they will, but, we'll see. And that's going to do it for now. Thanks for watching. And keep hitting that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already done so. Hit the bell icon to get alerted to future content from yours truly. Thank you all for joining in. Happy holidays, everyone. And I will see you again soon. All right, bye. Go Birds! Hopefully. All right, I'll see you.